Mastering Clear Thinking, Your Journey to Unlocking True Personal Potential. This comprehensive guide is here to walk with you as you develop the sharp thinking skills essential for making better choices and solving life's puzzles. Capabilities that matter deeply in both your personal journey and career path. You'll discover how to spot and move past your own blind spots. Question what you've always assumed. Embrace different viewpoints and build inner strength. Whether you're a student, a professional climbing your career ladder, or simply someone hungry for growth, this resource will empower you to reach your dreams and flourish in every corner of your life. Chapter 1. Beginning your clear thinking journey. Have you ever sat back and wondered why certain people just seem to glide through life's toughest moments, while others get stuck on even the smallest choices? Here's the truth. It all comes down to something called clear, analytical thinking. This life-changing ability is, honestly, the key that unlocks everything you're capable of becoming, both in your personal world and your professional life. But let's pause for a second. What exactly does clear thinking mean? And why does it matter so much in our modern world, where information floods us from every direction, every single day? You know what? Clear thinking gets misunderstood all the time. It's not about being argumentative or shooting down everyone else's ideas. Not at all. It's actually a thoughtful, structured way of processing information, analyzing what you hear, evaluating what matters, and bringing different pieces together to make sound judgments and smart decisions. It's about taking a breath, stepping away from your gut reactions, and looking at situations from a more objective place. It means considering various angles and thinking through what might happen next. Here's something that might surprise you. Many folks believe this kind of thinking is just something you're born with. You've either got it or you don't. But let me tell you, that's completely wrong. Clear thinking is absolutely a skill you can build and sharpen over time. Think of it like a muscle in your body that gets stronger the more you use it. When you commit to developing this skill, you'll notice yourself becoming better at untangling complicated problems, making choices you feel good about, and walking through life's uncertainties with real confidence. And here's the beautiful part. Mastering this way of thinking reaches far beyond school or work. In your personal life, it helps you create deeper, more meaningful connections with people. Your communication gets better, you develop genuine empathy, and suddenly you're able to truly understand where someone else is coming from. You handle conflicts more gracefully, and the decisions you make actually line up with what truly matters to you and where you want to go. In your career, this skill is pure gold. Employers everywhere are actively looking for people who think this way. It's what separates the leaders and innovators from people who just follow the playbook. When you think clearly and analytically, you become someone who doesn't just do the job, you transform it. As you start this journey towards sharper thinking, something wonderful happens. You realize it's not just about changing your thought process. It's about transforming your entire approach to living. You'll start questioning things you've always assumed, challenging biases you didn't even know you had, and tackling problems with fresh creativity and an open heart. This book, Think of it as your companion on this transformative journey. It's packed with practical tools, hands-on exercises, and real insights to help you develop a mindset rooted in clear, analytical thinking. In the chapters ahead, we're going to explore the foundations together. We'll dive into logical reasoning, uncover those sneaky biases that cloud everyone's judgment, yes, even yours, and discover powerful techniques for solving problems, making decisions, and communicating in ways that actually connect with people. But before we jump into all that, we need to start somewhere deeply personal. To truly master this skill, you first need to understand the intricate landscape of your own mind. You need to get curious about how you think, why you think the way you do, and what patterns keep showing up. As we wrap up this opening chapter, I want to ask you something. Are you genuinely ready to challenge what you believe, expand how you see the world, and unlock capabilities you didn't know were there? The road ahead won't always feel easy or comfortable. Growth rarely does. But I promise you, the rewards are beyond measure. In the next chapter, we're diving into the fascinating world of your personal thought patterns. It's the essential first step in transforming your mindset and reaching that ultimate personal growth you're seeking. Oh, and before we move on, make sure to subscribe to MindShift Academy and turn on notifications so you never miss the self-improvement insights that'll supercharge your growth journey. Chapter 2. Discovering how your mind works. Picture this for a moment. Your mind is like a vast, uncharted mountain range. Within its peaks and valleys lie hidden treasures, pockets of brilliant insight and boundless creativity. But there are also dangerous cliffs of bias and fog-filled canyons of misconception. To climb this mountain effectively, to reach those peaks, you first need to become intimately familiar with the terrain. That's where your journey into clear thinking truly begins, with self-awareness. Self-awareness is honestly the bedrock of everything we're talking about. It's your ability to observe your own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors as though you're a compassionate witness to your own life. This skill lets you recognize patterns in how you think, identify where you're strong and where you struggle, and understand how your life experiences and beliefs color the way you see everything around you. One incredibly powerful way to build this self-awareness is through mindful presence. When you practice being mindful, you're learning to tune in to your thoughts and feelings right here, right now, without judging yourself. It can be as simple as sitting quietly for a few minutes each day and just noticing the stream of thoughts flowing through your mind. Do this regularly and you'll start seeing recurring themes, emotional triggers, and thinking habits you never noticed before. Another tool that's been a game changer for so many people? Reflective journaling. When you write down your thoughts, experiences, and reactions, you're creating this tangible map of your inner world. Over time, that map reveals so much. You might discover patterns in how you make decisions, notice how you respond emotionally to certain situations, or uncover beliefs you didn't even know were driving your choices. Maybe you'll see that you tend to jump to conclusions in specific situations. or that you have this habit of imagining worst-case scenarios over tiny setbacks. Now, here's where it gets a bit uncomfortable, but stay with me. As you become more aware of your thought patterns, you're going to encounter some truths that aren't easy to face. We all carry what are called cognitive biases. These systematic errors in thinking that lead us to irrational judgments and decisions. They're deeply wired into us and usually operate completely beneath our conscious awareness. For example, there's confirmation bias, where we seek out information that confirms what we already believe, while conveniently ignoring anything that contradicts it. Or the availability heuristic, which makes us overestimate how likely something is, just because we can easily remember or imagine it happening. Recognizing these biases in yourself? That's tough. It requires real honesty and courage. But it's such a crucial step in developing clear thinking. When you acknowledge your biases, you can finally start counteracting their grip on your decision-making and problem-solving. One genuinely effective way to uncover these hidden biases and assumptions is to seek feedback from people around you. This requires vulnerability. You need to be open to hearing things that might sting a little. Ask friends you trust, colleagues you respect, or mentors who care about your growth for their honest thoughts about your strengths and blind spots. Their perspectives can illuminate things about yourself that self-reflection alone would never reveal. As you go deeper into understanding how your mind works, you'll probably feel some resistance. That's totally natural. It's uncomfortable to confront beliefs you've held forever, or habits that feel like part of who you are. But here's the thing. That discomfort is actually a sign you're growing. Embracing it is key to developing the mental flexibility that clear thinking requires. By the end of this chapter, you should have a much clearer picture of your mental landscape. But honestly, this is just the beginning. As we move forward together, you'll learn how to use this self-awareness as the foundation for building more advanced thinking skills. In the next chapter, we're exploring the fundamental principles that make clear thinking work. We'll start building the toolkit you'll need to navigate even the most complex intellectual challenges. Chapter 3: The Building Blocks of Sharp Thinking. Imagine yourself as a navigator standing at the edge of a vast, unexplored ocean. The waters ahead represent your own consciousness, and the compass in your hand is your ability to think clearly and logically. But like any skilled navigator, you need more than just a compass. You need reliable tools, proven techniques, and the wisdom to use them well. In this chapter, we're going to equip you with the fundamental tools of clear thinking, logical reasoning, and evidence-based thought processes. Logical reasoning is truly the backbone of everything we're discussing. It's the process of drawing conclusions based on solid evidence and sound arguments. At its heart, logical reasoning involves identifying premises, the information or assumptions you're starting with, and following them through to their natural conclusions. This might sound a bit abstract, but honestly, it's something we all do every single day, often without even realizing it. Let me give you a simple example. Consider this. All cats are mammals. Max is a cat. Therefore, Max is a mammal. This is a basic form of what's called deductive reasoning. When the premises are true, the conclusion must also be true. Pretty straightforward, right? As we go deeper, you'll learn to recognize and build more sophisticated arguments. And, just as importantly, you'll learn to spot flaws in reasoning, what we call logical fallacies. These fallacies are errors in reasoning that can lead us to false conclusions, even when the starting points seem solid. Some common ones you've probably encountered. There's the ad hominem attack, where someone dismisses an argument by attacking the person making it, rather than addressing the actual argument. There's the false dichotomy, where only two options are presented when actually there are other alternatives. And the slippery slope, where people assume one event will inevitably trigger a chain reaction of related events, without any real evidence to support that chain. Learning to recognize these fallacies is so valuable. You'll not only spot flaws in other people's arguments, but you'll also avoid making these mistakes in your own thinking. In our current age, where we're constantly bombarded with persuasive messages, from advertising to political campaigns, this skill is honestly invaluable. But here's the thing. Logical reasoning by itself isn't enough. Clear thinking also demands a genuine commitment to evidence-based thought. This means grounding your conclusions in verifiable facts and reliable data, rather than in personal beliefs, fleeting emotions, or isolated anecdotes. It involves actively seeking out high-quality information sources, carefully evaluating how credible the evidence is, and being genuinely willing to change your mind when you encounter new, compelling information. Developing this evidence-based mindset requires cultivating several key attitudes. First, curiosity, that natural drive to ask questions, seek new information, and explore different perspectives. Second, open-mindedness, the willingness to seriously consider ideas that might challenge what you already believe. And third, intellectual humility, recognizing that your knowledge is always incomplete, and that you can learn from others, especially when you disagree with them. These attitudes form what I like to call a clear thinking mindset. It's characterized by a genuine willingness to question assumptions, including your own, a healthy skepticism toward claims that lack solid evidence, and a deep commitment to ongoing learning and growth. Now, let me be honest with you. Developing this mindset isn't always easy or comfortable. It pushes you out of your comfort zone. It asks you to confront your own biases. Sometimes it means admitting you are wrong about something. But the rewards? They're immense. With this mindset, you'll be so much better equipped to navigate complex issues, make truly informed decisions, and engage meaningfully with perspectives totally different from your own. As we close this chapter, you should have a solid grasp of the core principles that make clear thinking work. You understand why logical reasoning matters, why evidence-based thinking is crucial, and you're developing the attitudes necessary for approaching life with clarity and wisdom. But knowing these principles is really just the first step. To truly master clear thinking, we need to learn how to apply these skills even when we're facing one of the greatest challenges to our clarity: our own cognitive biases. In the next chapter, we're diving into the fascinating and sometimes humbling world of cognitive biases. We'll explore how they quietly influence our thinking and discover powerful strategies to overcome them. Chapter 4: Moving Past Mental Blind Spots. Imagine you're navigating through a dense forest at twilight. You're confident in your path, following what you believe are clear markers. But suddenly, you realize that half the trail signs were hidden in shadows all along, invisible to you until this very moment. This is exactly what cognitive biases do to us. They're the hidden signs in our mental landscape, influencing our decisions and judgments without us ever noticing. In this chapter, we're going to shine a light on these invisible influences and learn how to navigate more clearly. Cognitive biases aren't character flaws or signs that you're not smart enough. Not at all. They're actually a natural result of your brain trying to process information efficiently. These mental shortcuts, what researchers call heuristics, often serve us incredibly well in everyday situations. But when we face complex scenarios that require careful, clear thinking, these shortcuts can seriously lead us astray. One of the most widespread biases is confirmation bias. This is our natural tendency to search for, interpret, and remember information in ways that confirm what we already believe. It's why we eagerly accept evidence supporting our views, while we scrutinize or completely dismiss evidence that challenges them. For instance, if you believe a particular diet is the absolute best for health, you might enthusiastically share articles that support your view while ignoring or critiquing studies suggesting otherwise. Another really common bias is the anchoring effect. This is where we rely way too heavily on the very first piece of information we encounter when making a decision. It's why the initial asking price of a house can dramatically influence negotiations, even if that price was completely arbitrary to begin with. Then there's the availability heuristic, which causes us to overestimate how likely something is based purely on how easily we can remember or imagine it. This is why many people fear airplane crashes far more than car accidents, despite car accidents being statistically much more dangerous. Recognizing these biases in yourself is genuinely the first step toward overcoming them. But let me be straight with you. Awareness alone isn't enough. We need concrete strategies to counteract their influence. One powerful approach? Actively seek out information that challenges your existing beliefs. This doesn't mean you have to change your mind about everything, but it does mean giving fair, honest consideration to opposing viewpoints. Try following news sources or thought leaders who see things differently than you do. Engage in respectful conversations with people who hold different views. The goal isn't to win arguments, it's to broaden your understanding of the world. Another effective strategy is practicing mental flexibility. This means deliberately considering alternative explanations or outcomes for any given situation. When you catch yourself jumping to a quick conclusion, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what other possibilities am I not seeing right now? This one simple question can open up entirely new ways of thinking and help you avoid the trap of narrow, limited perspectives. Developing a habit of seeking diverse perspectives can also powerfully combat biases. When you're making an important decision, talk with people who have different backgrounds, different life experiences, or different areas of expertise than you. Their insights can help you see blind spots in your thinking and consider factors you might have completely overlooked. It's also crucial, and I can't stress this enough, to cultivate intellectual humility. This means genuinely recognizing that your knowledge is limited and that you can learn valuable things from others, especially people you disagree with. This attitude makes it so much easier to admit when you're wrong and to change your mind when you encounter compelling new evidence. Remember, changing your mind isn't weakness. It's actually a sign of growth and intellectual maturity. As you work to move past cognitive biases, you'll probably feel some internal resistance. Our biases are deeply ingrained. Challenging them can feel uncomfortable, even threatening. But here's what I want you to understand. That discomfort is actually a signal that you're pushing beyond your mental comfort zone. And that's exactly where real, lasting growth happens. By the end of this chapter, you should have a clear understanding of common cognitive biases and practical strategies to counteract them. You're developing genuine mental flexibility and the open-mindedness necessary to see beyond your own limited perspective and seriously consider alternative viewpoints. But recognizing biases and thinking flexibly are just pieces of the puzzle. To truly master these skills, we need to apply them to real-world challenges. Are you ready to put everything you've learned so far to the test? In the next chapter, we're exploring powerful problem-solving techniques. You'll discover how to approach complex issues systematically and creatively, how to break down seemingly impossible problems into manageable pieces, and how to generate truly innovative solutions. The journey is about to get more challenging and infinitely more rewarding. Chapter 5. Solving Life's Puzzles with Confidence. Picture yourself standing in front of an intricate maze that stretches as far as you can see. At first glance, it feels overwhelming. Countless paths branching in every direction, dead ends you can't yet see, and a destination that seems impossibly far away. This maze represents the challenging problems we encounter in life. Complex, intimidating, and sometimes feeling completely unsolvable. But here's what I want you to know. Armed with the right techniques and a clear approach, even the most bewildering mazes can be navigated successfully. In this chapter, we're going to explore powerful problem-solving methods that will genuinely transform how you approach challenges. The very first step in effective problem-solving is something so many people skip right over: clearly defining what the actual issue is. I see this all the time. What looks like a single, massive problem is often actually a cluster of smaller, interconnected issues tangled together. By breaking down that larger problem into smaller, more manageable pieces, you can suddenly start seeing potential solutions more clearly. This process, which researchers call problem decomposition, is like finding individual threads in a complex tapestry and understanding how each one connects. Once you've identified the core components of your problem, it's time to gather information. This step is absolutely crucial, yet it's often the most overlooked. So many people rush headlong into solving problems without fully understanding them, and that leads to solutions that don't actually work or only address surface issues. Cast a wide net when you're gathering information. Look at the problem from different angles. Talk to people with different perspectives. Consult experts if you can. Look for patterns or trends that might give you insight into what's really causing the problem at its root. With a solid understanding of the problem and relevant information in your hands, now it's time to generate potential solutions. This is honestly where creativity gets to shine. Brainstorming is such a powerful tool for this stage. And here's the key. Suspend all judgment initially. Just let ideas flow freely, no matter how wild or unconventional they might seem. You know what? Sometimes the most innovative, breakthrough solutions come from ideas that initially sound completely crazy. Once you've got a healthy list of potential solutions, it's evaluation time. This is where all those clear thinking skills we've been building really come into play. Consider the pros and cons of each solution carefully. Think about feasibility. Can you actually implement this? Consider potential outcomes, both intended and unintended. What might happen down the road? It's so important to be as objective as possible during this stage, setting aside personal preferences or emotional attachments to certain ideas. After careful evaluation, select the solution that seems most promising and develop a concrete implementation plan. Break that solution down into specific, actionable steps. If you're working with a team, assign clear responsibilities to each person. Set realistic timelines. But here's something crucial that people often forget. Problem solving doesn't end when you implement your solution. You need to monitor the results closely and be genuinely prepared to make adjustments if things aren't working as expected. One of the most powerful problem-solving techniques I've seen work again and again is the ability to reframe the problem entirely. Sometimes the way we initially define a problem actually limits our ability to solve it. By looking at the same issue from completely different angles or perspectives, we might uncover innovative solutions we never would have considered otherwise. It's like turning a kaleidoscope. Same pieces, entirely different pattern. Let me share something with you. As you develop your problem-solving skills, definitely going to encounter obstacles and frustrations. You might feel stuck. You might feel overwhelmed. You might get frustrated when solutions don't work out as planned. When those moments hit, and they will, remember that these feelings are completely normal. They are actually part of the process. Sometimes the best thing you can do is take a genuine step back, give your mind some breathing room, and return to the problem later with fresh eyes. I can't tell you how many times the solution becomes crystal clear the moment we stop actively trying to force it. Another technique that's incredibly valuable is what I call the beginner's mind approach. Try looking at your problem as if you've never encountered anything like it before. Strip away all your assumptions about how things should work or what solutions are supposed to look like. This fresh perspective can reveal pathways you couldn't see before. And here's something that might surprise you. Talking through your problem out loud with someone else, even someone who knows nothing about the specific issue, can be remarkably helpful. The simple act of explaining the problem to another person often helps you see it more clearly yourself. They might ask innocent questions that make you realize you've been making assumptions you didn't even know were there. By the end of this chapter, you should have a robust, practical toolkit for tackling complex problems. You understand the importance of clearly defining issues, gathering comprehensive information, generating creative solutions, evaluating them objectively, and implementing and monitoring your chosen approach with flexibility. But effective problem solving is just one essential piece of the clear thinking puzzle. To truly master these skills, we need to learn how to analyze information and arguments with real precision and clarity. In the next chapter, we're diving deep into the art of analyzing information and arguments. I'm going to equip you with the tools you need to separate fact from fiction, solid reasoning from faulty logic, and genuine insight from persuasive-sounding nonsense. Let's keep going. Chapter 6. Becoming a Master Analyst of Information. Picture yourself as an archaeologist standing at an excavation site. Before you lies layers upon layers of sediment, artifacts, and fragments of history, all mixed together. Your task? To carefully sift through everything, separate the valuable finds from the rubble, and piece together an accurate picture of what actually happened. This is essentially what analyzing information and arguments is all about. A crucial skill in any clear thinker's toolkit. At the heart of this skill lies the ability to take apart an argument and examine its individual components. Every argument, no matter how elaborate or complex it seems, can actually be broken down into three basic elements: claims, premises, and conclusions. Understanding these components is like learning to read the blueprint of someone's reasoning. Claims are assertions about what's true or what should be done. Premises are the reasons or evidence given to support those claims. The conclusion is what the entire argument is trying to prove or persuade you to believe. Let me give you a straightforward example. All cats are mammals. Max is a cat. Therefore, Max is a mammal. Here, all cats are mammals and Max is a cat are the premises, while Max is a mammal is the conclusion. By breaking arguments down this way, you can much more easily evaluate how strong they are and spot potential flaws. Once you've identified the components of an argument, the next crucial step is evaluating the evidence being presented. This involves asking some critical questions. Is this evidence actually relevant to the claim being made? Is it reliable and from a credible source? Is there enough of it to genuinely support the conclusion being drawn? Be especially wary of anecdotal evidence, stories that might be compelling but don't necessarily represent the full picture, or cherry-picked data that conveniently ignores information that doesn't fit the narrative. As you analyze arguments, you'll start noticing patterns in how people reason. Some of these patterns are valid and genuinely strengthen an argument. Others are fallacious. They might sound convincing on the surface, but they actually weaken the reasoning underneath. For instance, that Max example I gave you earlier follows a pattern called a syllogism, which is logically valid. If the premises are true, the conclusion absolutely must be true. However, many arguments use invalid patterns of reasoning that can trick us if we're not paying attention. Take the slippery slope fallacy, for example. This is where someone assumes that one event will inevitably trigger a whole chain of related events without providing any real evidence for that chain reaction. You might hear something like, "If we let students use calculators in math class, next they'll want computers to do all their thinking, and eventually nobody will be able to do basic arithmetic anymore." See how that leaps from one thing to an extreme conclusion without justifying the steps in between? Another incredibly common flaw in reasoning is confusing correlation with causation. Just because two things happen to occur together doesn't mean one caused the other. There might be a correlation between ice cream sales and drowning incidents, but ice cream doesn't cause drownings. Both simply increase during summer months when more people are swimming and eating ice cream. Understanding this distinction can save you from making all sorts of faulty conclusions. As you sharpen your analytical skills, you also need to become alert to hidden assumptions and unstated premises lurking beneath arguments. Often, what's not said in an argument can be just as important, sometimes even more important, than what is said explicitly. For example, someone might argue, "We should lower taxes to boost economic growth." This argument quietly assumes that lower taxes always lead to economic growth, an assumption that definitely deserves critical examination. Here's my advice. Start practicing these analytical skills in everyday situations. Analyze advertisements you see. What are they really claiming? What evidence do they provide? What are they leaving out? Look at political speeches with a critical eye. Read opinion pieces in newspapers or online, and break down the arguments being made. As you do this regularly, you'll likely find that many arguments that initially seemed really persuasive don't actually hold up under scrutiny. Now, let me be clear about something important. The goal of this analysis isn't to win arguments with people or to prove others wrong at every turn. That's not what we're after here. Instead, it's about developing a clearer, more accurate understanding of complex issues so you can make truly informed decisions. It's about not being manipulated by faulty reasoning or misleading claims. By sharpening these analytical skills, you're equipping yourself to navigate the absolute sea of information we encounter every single day. You're learning to separate genuinely valuable insights from misleading or false claims. You're developing the ability to think independently rather than simply accepting what you're told. One more technique I want to share with you. When you encounter an argument, try the steelman approach. Instead of looking for the weakest points to attack, the straw man approach, try to construct the strongest possible version of the argument, even if you disagree with it. This forces you to truly understand the other person's perspective and strengthens your own thinking in the process. As we wrap up this chapter, You should feel genuinely more confident in your ability to break down and evaluate arguments. You understand the importance of identifying claims, premises, and conclusions. You know how to evaluate evidence carefully. You can recognize common patterns and flaws in reasoning. These are powerful skills that will serve you throughout your entire life. But here's the thing. In our increasingly interconnected world, effective, clear thinking requires more than just analyzing individual arguments in isolation. We need to be able to engage with diverse perspectives, build genuine empathy, and synthesize insights from multiple viewpoints to get a fuller picture of complex issues. In the next chapter, we're going to explore strategies for engaging meaningfully with diverse perspectives. You'll learn how to build real empathy and integrate multiple viewpoints into your decision-making process in ways that make you wiser and more effective. Ready? Let's continue this journey together. Chapter 7. Opening your mind to different worlds. Imagine walking into a gallery where every painting on the walls shows the exact same landscape, but each one is painted from a completely different vantage point. One is from ground level, another from high above, one at sunrise, another at midnight. As you walk through this gallery, your understanding of that landscape becomes richer and more complete with each new perspective. This is what engaging with diverse viewpoints does for your understanding of the world. In this chapter, we're exploring how opening yourself to different perspectives can profoundly enrich your thinking and sharpen your ability to see clearly. The value of diverse viewpoints, honestly, cannot be overstated. When we genuinely expose ourselves to different perspectives, we challenge assumptions we didn't even know we're making. We broaden our understanding in ways that simply aren't possible within our own echo chamber. We often arrive at more nuanced, more robust solutions to complex problems. It's like adding new colors to an artist's palette. The more colors available, the richer and more vibrant the final picture becomes. But let me be honest with you. Engaging with diverse perspectives isn't always easy or comfortable. It requires us to step way out of our comfort zones and confront ideas that might seriously challenge beliefs we've held dear for years. This can feel uncomfortable. It can even feel threatening sometimes. But here's what I've learned and what I want you to understand. It's precisely this discomfort that often leads to the most significant personal growth and the deepest insights. One powerful strategy for actively seeking out alternative perspectives is to deliberately expose yourself to sources of information that challenge your existing views. If your political views lean in one direction, make an effort to read thoughtful publications that lean the other way. If you're deeply immersed in one field, say technology, explore literature in completely different domains like philosophy, art, or social sciences. The goal here isn't necessarily to change your mind about everything. It's to genuinely understand different viewpoints and the reasoning that leads people to hold them. As you engage with diverse perspectives, practicing active listening becomes absolutely crucial. This means truly hearing what others are saying, not just waiting impatiently for your turn to speak, or planning your counterargument while they're still talking. Try to understand not just what someone is saying, but why they're saying it. What life experiences have shaped their viewpoint? What values or assumptions underlie their position? What are they genuinely concerned about? Building empathy is another key aspect of engaging meaningfully with diverse perspectives. Empathy allows you to see the world through someone else's eyes, even if you don't ultimately agree with their conclusions. It helps you recognize that most people, regardless of their views, are genuinely trying to do what they believe is right based on their understanding and life experiences. They're not stupid or evil. They just see things differently, often for reasons that make perfect sense from their perspective. Let me share a technique that's been remarkably effective. It's called steel manning, and it's the opposite of straw manning. In a straw man argument, you attack a weak or exaggerated version of someone's position, something that's easier to knock down. In steel manning, you do the opposite. You try to articulate the strongest possible version of someone else's argument, even if, especially if, you disagree with it. This practice not only helps you understand their perspective more deeply, but it also strengthens your own thinking by forcing you to engage with the most robust version of opposing views rather than convenient caricatures. As you become more skilled at engaging with diverse perspectives, you'll find that decision-making becomes both more challenging and more rewarding. More challenging because you'll have a much richer set of options to consider and a more nuanced understanding of potential consequences. More rewarding because your decisions will be better informed, more thoughtful, and more likely to account for factors you might have completely missed otherwise. One useful technique for integrating multiple perspectives into decision-making is deliberately playing devil's advocate with yourself or your team. Consciously argue against your preferred option. If you're working with a group, assign different people to genuinely advocate for different perspectives, even perspectives they might not personally hold. This can help uncover potential flaws in your thinking that groupthink might otherwise hide. Here's something important one want to emphasize. Engaging with diverse perspectives doesn't mean abandoning your own values or beliefs. It's not about achieving some bland, watered-down consensus where every viewpoint is treated as equally valid regardless of evidence or reasoning. Rather, it's about enriching your understanding, challenging assumptions you might be making unconsciously, and arriving at more thoughtful, better-reasoned positions that account for complexities you might have initially overlooked. Think about it this way. When you only surround yourself with people who think exactly like you, you're living in an echo chamber. Your ideas bounce around and come back to you unchanged, reinforced but not refined. But when you genuinely engage with people who see things differently, your ideas get tested, challenged, strengthened, or sometimes appropriately modified. You develop intellectual muscle. I also want to acknowledge something real. In today's polarized climate, engaging respectfully with people who hold very different views can feel emotionally exhausting. It's tempting to retreat into comfortable bubbles where everyone agrees with you. But here's what I've found. The people who develop the clearest thinking and the wisest perspectives are the ones who resist that temptation. They're the ones willing to have uncomfortable conversations with curiosity rather than contempt. As we close this chapter, you should have a deeper appreciation for the genuine value of diverse perspectives and some practical strategies for engaging with them meaningfully. You understand the importance of active listening, building authentic empathy, and integrating multiple viewpoints into your decision-making process in thoughtful ways. But engaging with diverse perspectives is just one crucial aspect of effective decision-making. To truly master this vital skill, we need to explore a fuller range of decision-making strategies that can help you navigate both everyday choices and life-changing decisions with real clarity and wisdom, even when you're facing uncertainty. In the next chapter, we're delving into powerful decision-making strategies that will equip you to tackle choices of all sizes with confidence. Let's keep moving forward together. Chapter 8. Making Decisions That Shape Your Future. Picture yourself standing in a vast meadow where countless trails wind through tall grass, each path disappearing into different horizons. Some trails look well worn and safe, others barely visible and uncertain. Each one represents a potential decision, and the landscape ahead is veiled in the mist of unknowns. This is the reality of decision-making, choosing a direction forward when you can't possibly know everything about where it will lead. In this chapter, we're going to explore practical strategies to help you navigate this terrain with genuine confidence and wisdom. Here's something fundamental that often gets overlooked. Effective decision-making is actually a process, not just a single moment of choice. It starts with taking the time to clearly define what decision you're actually facing. This might sound obvious, but you'd be surprised how many poor decisions stem from never properly framing what the real question is or failing to gather adequate information up front. So, slow down. Make sure you truly understand the full scope of what you're deciding and that you have as much relevant information as reasonably possible. Once you've gathered your information, the next step is identifying and carefully evaluating your options. This is where all those clear thinking skills we've been building really shine. Consider the potential outcomes of each option, both short-term and long-term. What are the genuine risks involved? What are the benefits? How do these different options align with your personal goals and deepest values? And here's something important. Be sure to consider not just the obvious choices staring you in the face, but also creative alternatives that might not be immediately apparent. Sometimes the best solution is one you have to actively imagine into existence. One incredibly useful tool for evaluating complex options is something called a decision matrix. Here's how it works. You list all your options down one side. Then list the criteria that matter most for this particular decision across the top. Then you score each option against each criterion. This systematic approach helps you objectively compare choices that might otherwise feel impossibly tangled and identify which option best meets your actual needs rather than just your immediate emotions. As you evaluate your options, I want you to be aware of something nuanced: the balance between logic and intuition. While it's absolutely important to analyze facts and data rationally, Please don't completely discount your gut feelings. Your intuition is often the result of subconscious pattern recognition based on past experiences your conscious mind might not even remember. The key is using both logic and intuition together in a balanced way, rather than relying solely on one or the other. Let them inform each other. Another crucial aspect of decision-making that we can't ignore is managing uncertainty. In so many real-life situations, you simply won't have all the information you'd ideally want before making a choice. One powerful strategy for dealing with this reality is scenario planning. This involves imagining several different possible futures and thinking through how your decision might play out in each one. This kind of mental simulation helps you identify potential risks and opportunities you might otherwise completely overlook. Let me tell you about some common decision-making pitfalls to watch out for. One of the biggest is what's called analysis paralysis. Getting so caught up in gathering information and analyzing every possible angle that you never actually make a decision. Here's the truth. In many situations, making a timely decision is genuinely more important than making a theoretically perfect decision. Sometimes good enough really is good enough, and the cost of delay outweighs the benefit of additional analysis. Another common trap is groupthink, especially relevant if you're making decisions with a team or family. Groupthink happens when the desire for harmony or conformity in a group results in irrational or dysfunctional decision-making. Everyone goes along to get along, and important objections never get voiced. To combat this, actively encourage dissenting opinions. Consider formally appointing someone to play devil's advocate and challenge the group's assumptions. Create safety for people to speak up with concerns. As you develop your decision-making skills, you'll definitely encounter moments where you feel completely stuck or overwhelmed. When that happens, try using techniques like the 5 whys. Repeatedly asking why to drill down to the root of what you're really trying to decide. Or use the Eisenhower matrix to prioritize decisions based on their importance and urgency. Sometimes, simply reframing how you're thinking about the problem can lead to breakthrough insights. Here's something I want to emphasize. The goal of all these strategies isn't to eliminate risk or uncertainty from your decisions. That's impossible, and honestly, it would be a mistake even if you could. Some of the best decisions involve calculated risks. Rather, these tools help you make informed, well-reasoned choices that align with your goals and values, even while accepting that uncertainty will always be part of the equation. Remember, too, that even with the absolute best decision-making process, you can't control every outcome. Life is unpredictable. External factors change. New information emerges. The key is being comfortable with this inherent uncertainty and staying ready to adapt as circumstances evolve. Think of your decisions not as rigid commitments, but as informed hypotheses you're willing to test and adjust based on results. Let me share something personal. I've made plenty of decisions in my life that didn't turn out the way I hoped. Sometimes I had incomplete information. Sometimes circumstances changed unexpectedly. But here's what I've learned. Even those wrong decisions taught me invaluable lessons that informed better decisions later. Every decision, regardless of outcome, is an opportunity to learn something about yourself, about the world, and about how to navigate future choices more wisely. One more insight I want to leave you with about decision-making. Involve the right people, but don't abdicate responsibility. Seeking input from trusted advisors, mentors, or experts is wise. Getting different perspectives enriches your thinking. But at the end of the day, you need to take ownership of your own major decisions. You're the one who will live with the consequences, so you're the one who ultimately needs to decide. Don't let fear of responsibility cause you to let others make your important choices for you. As we close this chapter, you should feel genuinely equipped with a robust set of strategies to enhance your decision-making abilities. You understand the importance of framing problems clearly, gathering relevant information, evaluating options objectively with both logic and intuition, and managing the uncertainty that's always present. These skills will serve you throughout your entire life. But effective decision-making is just one essential piece of thriving in our complex, challenging world. To truly flourish, we also need to develop mental resilience, the capacity to adapt, learn, and grow in the face of setbacks, challenges, and adversity. In the next chapter, we're exploring powerful strategies for building genuine mental resilience. I'm going to equip you with tools to face life's storms with confidence and transform setbacks into opportunities for growth. This is where things get really practical and deeply personal. Let's continue. Chapter 9. Developing Unshakable Inner Strength. Imagine yourself as a willow tree growing beside a rushing river. When storms come, and they always do, the wind howls and the rain pours, but your roots run deep into the site, earth. Your trunk bends gracefully with the wind rather than breaking against it. When the storm passes, you stand tall once again, perhaps even stronger than before, because your roots have grown deeper, searching for stability. This is the essence of mental resilience, the genuine ability to withstand life's inevitable storms, bend without breaking, and emerge stronger from adversity. In this chapter, we're exploring how to cultivate this vital quality and harness its power to enhance both your clear thinking and your overall well-being. Let me be clear about what mental resilience actually is, because it's often misunderstood. It's not about toughing it out with a stiff upper lip, pretending everything is fine when it isn't, or never feeling pain or difficulty. Not at all. Real resilience is a dynamic, ongoing process that involves adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. Resilience allows you to bounce back from setbacks, learn genuinely from failures, and even thrive under pressure rather than merely survive it. The foundation of mental resilience lies in understanding and skillfully managing your emotions. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending they don't exist. Rather, it means developing what's called emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and effectively manage your emotions and the emotions of others. When you cultivate emotional intelligence, you can respond to challenges with clarity and purpose rather than simply reacting impulsively based on raw, unprocessed emotion. One incredibly powerful technique for building emotional intelligence is mindfulness practice. This involves gently focusing your attention on the present moment, acknowledging and accepting your thoughts and feelings without harsh judgment. Regular mindfulness practice, even just 10 minutes a day, can help you develop much greater self-awareness, significantly reduce stress levels, and dramatically improve your ability to regulate your emotions, rather than being controlled by them. Another absolutely crucial aspect of mental resilience is developing what psychologist Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset. This concept involves genuinely believing that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedicated effort, strategic learning, and persistent practice. People with a growth mindset view challenges as opportunities for growth rather than threats to their self-image or worth. They embrace failure as a valuable learning experience rather than seeing it as a reflection of some fixed, unchangeable limitation. To cultivate a growth mindset, start paying close attention to your self-talk, that running commentary in your head. When faced with a challenge, do you automatically tell yourself, "I can't do this"? Or do you reframe it as, "I can't do this yet"? That simple addition of "yet" can completely shift your entire perspective from one of fixed limitation to one of evolving possibility. Practice actively reframing setbacks as opportunities for learning and growth. Ask yourself, what can this teach me? Instead of, why did this happen to me? Resilience also involves building and maintaining a strong support network. Here's a truth we often forget. No one thrives in complete isolation. We're social creatures who need connection, encouragement, and sometimes just someone to listen. Actively cultivate relationships with people who support and encourage you, who challenge you to grow in healthy ways, and who can offer perspective when you're struggling to see clearly. And remember, seeking help when you need it isn't a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength and genuine self-awareness. When faced with adversity, resilient people practice what are called active coping strategies. Instead of avoiding problems, denying they exist, or just wishing them away, they take direct, concrete action to address challenges. This might involve breaking a large, overwhelming problem into smaller, more manageable steps. It might mean seeking advice or resources from people who've faced similar challenges. Or it might involve developing new skills specifically to tackle the issue at hand. One particularly powerful coping strategy is cognitive reframing, changing the way you look at a situation to alter its emotional impact on you. For example, instead of viewing a job loss as an absolute catastrophe and the end of your career, you might choose to view it as an unexpected opportunity to explore new career paths you'd never seriously considered before, or as a chance to finally pursue that dream you'd shelved. By intentionally shifting your perspective, you can often find genuine silver linings, even in really challenging situations. Here's something important I want you to understand. Building mental resilience isn't something that happens overnight. It's a skill that develops gradually over time, like a muscle that grows stronger with consistent use. Each challenge you face and overcome, even small ones, builds your capacity to handle future adversities more effectively. So, embrace challenges as opportunities to flex and strengthen your resilience muscle, rather than seeing them as evidence that you're not strong enough. Let me share something about vulnerability, because it's deeply connected to resilience. Our culture often treats vulnerability as weakness, but that's completely backwards. Being willing to be vulnerable, to admit when you're struggling, to ask for help, to try things you might fail at, actually requires tremendous courage. And it's through that vulnerability that we build genuine connections with others and create space for authentic growth. I also want to talk about self-compassion, which is absolutely essential for resilience. When you face setbacks or make mistakes, how do you talk to yourself? Many of us have an incredibly harsh inner critic that says things we would never dream of saying to a friend in the same situation. Practice treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer someone you care about. This doesn't mean making excuses or avoiding responsibility. It means acknowledging your humanity and your inherent worthiness of compassion, especially during difficult times. Physical well-being is another often overlooked component of mental resilience. Your mind and body aren't separate entities, they're deeply interconnected. Regular physical activity, adequate sleep, proper nutrition, and time in nature all significantly impact your mental resilience. When you're running on empty physically, your mental and emotional resources get depleted much faster. Taking care of your body is actually taking care of your mind. As we wrap up this chapter, you should have a clear, practical understanding of mental resilience and concrete strategies to cultivate it in your own life. You recognize the importance of emotional intelligence, a growth mindset, active coping strategies, and self-compassion in building genuine resilience that lasts. But resilience, as crucial as it is just one piece of the larger puzzle. To truly thrive in our complex, interconnected world, we need to be able to communicate our ideas effectively and engage in constructive dialogue with others, even when we disagree. In the next chapter, we're exploring the intricate relationship between clear thinking and effective communication. I'm going to equip you with practical tools to express your ideas persuasively, listen with genuine understanding, and engage in productive dialogue that builds bridges rather than walls. Ready to continue? Let's go. Chapter 10. Building Bridges Through Thoughtful Communication. Picture yourself as an architect tasked with designing a bridge that will connect two distant islands. Each island has its own unique landscape, culture, and way of life. Your bridge needs to be strong enough to support real connection, flexible enough to accommodate differences, and welcoming enough that people actually want to cross it. This bridge represents communication, the vital means by which we share ideas, express emotions, collaborate with others, and build meaningful relationships. In this chapter, we're exploring how to construct strong, reliable bridges of communication and how clear thinking profoundly enhances this essential skill. At its heart, effective communication is about so much more than just transmitting information from your brain to someone else's. It's about creating genuine, shared understanding. This requires not only clear expression of your own ideas, but also active, empathetic listening to others. Clear thinking plays an absolutely crucial role in this entire process, helping us analyze and evaluate both the messages we're sending and the ones we're receiving. One of the foundational elements of effective communication is what's called active listening. This involves fully concentrating on what's actually being said, rather than just passively hearing words float by while you're thinking about what you want to say next. It means listening with all your senses, noting body language, picking up on tone of voice, observing facial expressions, and providing thoughtful feedback to ensure genuine understanding. Clear thinking enhances active listening by helping you analyze the speaker's arguments as they're being made, identify assumptions that might not be stated explicitly, and recognize when emotional appeals are being used versus logical reasoning. When it's your turn to speak, clear thinking helps you organize your thoughts coherently and express them with real clarity. Start by defining your main point or argument clearly in your own mind first. Then structure your supporting points in a logical flow, using solid evidence and sound reasoning to back up what you're claiming. Be genuinely aware of your audience. Tailor your message appropriately. What background knowledge do they have? What might their potential biases or concerns be? What do they care about? Speaking to where someone actually is, rather than where you wish they were, makes all the difference. Another crucial aspect of effective communication is the ability to engage in constructive dialogue and healthy debate. Let me be clear about what I mean. This doesn't mean trying to win arguments or prove you're right and someone else is wrong. It means collaboratively exploring ideas together to reach a deeper, more nuanced understanding. Clear thinking skills are absolutely essential here, helping you analyze arguments fairly, identify logical fallacies without being smug about it, and separate your emotional reactions from rational responses. One powerful technique for fostering genuinely constructive dialogue is the Socratic method, an approach that involves asking thoughtful, probing questions to stimulate critical thinking and illuminate ideas. Instead of simply stating your position and digging in, ask questions that encourage others to examine their own assumptions and reasoning. Questions like, what evidence supports that perspective? Or, what might be an alternative explanation we haven't considered? Or, how would we know if that wasn't true? This approach invites collaboration rather than confrontation. Effective communicators are also skilled at managing conflicts and disagreements gracefully. When tensions rise, and they will sometimes, it's so easy to fall into emotional reactions or defensive postures that shut down real communication. Clear thinking can help you step back, analyze the situation more objectively, and respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. Look for common ground even in heated disagreements. Genuinely acknowledge valid points made by others, even if you ultimately disagree with their overall position. Focus on underlying interests and needs rather than getting stuck on rigid positions. As you develop your communication skills, pay close attention to the often underestimated power of nonverbal communication. Your body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice frequently convey more than your actual words. Use clear thinking to become more aware of your own nonverbal cues and how they might be perceived by others. Are you crossing your arms defensively? Is your tone dismissive even though your words are polite? Misalignment between your verbal and nonverbal messages creates confusion and distrust. Here's something crucial to remember. Effective communication is genuinely a two-way street. It's not just about expressing your own ideas clearly, though that matters. It's equally about creating an environment where others feel truly heard and understood. Practice real empathy. Actively try to see things from other people's perspectives. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everyone about everything, but understanding where someone is coming from, what their concerns are, what they value, leads to much more productive conversations and stronger relationships. In our increasingly digital age, it's also crucial to think about how these principles apply to written communication. Whether you're crafting an email, writing a report, posting on social media, or sending a text message, apply clear thinking to ensure your message is clear, well-reasoned, and appropriate for your specific audience. Be especially aware of the limitations of written communication, primarily the lack of tone, facial expressions, and body language, and compensate for these where possible. That's why emojis have become so popular in digital communication. They help convey emotional tone that text alone can miss. One more thing I want to emphasize about communication: the importance of timing. Even perfectly crafted messages can fall flat if delivered at the wrong moment. Is the other person actually in a position to hear what you're saying right now? Are they distracted, stressed, or emotionally overwhelmed? Sometimes, the most effective communication strategy is simply waiting for a better moment when both parties can engage fully and thoughtfully. As we close this chapter, you should have a much deeper understanding of the intricate relationship between clear thinking and effective communication. You recognize the vital importance of active listening, clear expression, constructive dialogue, and genuine empathy in building strong communicative bridges that connect rather than divide. But effective communication, as essential as it is, represents just one application of clear thinking in everyday life. To truly master these skills, we need to see how they apply across various real-life scenarios, from navigating personal relationships to tackling professional challenges. In the next chapter, we're exploring how to apply all these skills to real-life situations you encounter every single day. I'm going to equip you to navigate the complexities of daily life with greater confidence and wisdom. Let's keep going. We're building something powerful here. Chapter 11. Applying clear thinking to your everyday world. Imagine waking up one morning to discover you've been given a special pair of glasses. These aren't ordinary reading glasses or sunglasses. They're clarity lenses that allow you to see the world with newfound sharpness, revealing hidden patterns, underlying dynamics, and potential opportunities or pitfalls in every situation you encounter throughout your day. In this chapter, we're exploring how to apply your developing clear thinking skills to everyday life, genuinely transforming the way you navigate personal relationships, professional challenges, and daily decision-making. Let's start with something deeply personal: your relationships. Whether it's a recurring disagreement with your partner, a frustrating misunderstanding with a close friend, or a complicated family dynamic, clear thinking can help you navigate these emotionally charged waters with more grace and effectiveness. When conflicts arise, and they absolutely will, use your analytical skills to step back mentally and examine the situation more objectively. What are the real underlying issues here? Are there unstated assumptions or miscommunications fueling the conflict? What patterns keep repeating? For example, imagine you're having the same argument with your partner again and again about household responsibilities. Instead of getting caught up in the emotional intensity of the moment, apply clear thinking to analyze what's really happening. Is this disagreement actually about who does the dishes? Or is it really about feeling unappreciated, overwhelmed, or disrespected? Use active listening, that skill we talked about, to truly understand your partner's perspective beneath their words, and clearly articulate your own thoughts and feelings without blame or defensiveness. Often, what seems like a practical problem is actually an emotional need not being met. In the workplace, clear thinking is equally valuable and can genuinely give you an edge. Whether you're solving a complex problem, making a crucial decision, or navigating tricky office dynamics, these skills matter enormously. When faced with a workplace challenge, start by clearly defining what the actual problem is, not just the symptoms you're seeing. Gather relevant information from multiple sources, not just the loudest voices or most convenient data. Analyze that information critically, looking for root causes rather than surface issues. Then generate and evaluate potential solutions systematically. Let me give you a concrete example. Let's say your team consistently struggles to meet project deadlines and morale is tanking. Instead of jumping to quick fixes like everyone needs to work harder or implementing new software tools, use clear thinking to dig deeper. What are the actual root causes? Is it genuinely a lack of resources? Inefficient processes that waste time? Unclear expectations causing people to work on the wrong things? Unrealistic deadlines set by leadership. Each root cause requires a completely different solution. By thoroughly examining the issue from multiple angles rather than making assumptions, you're far more likely to find solutions that actually work long-term. Clear thinking is also absolutely crucial in your role as a consumer and citizen. In this age of information overload, targeted advertising, and algorithmically curated content, it's more important than ever to think critically about the messages bombarding you constantly. When you encounter a news article, an advertisement, a social media post, or a political claim, ask yourself some key questions. What's the actual source of this information? What evidence is being provided to support the claims? Are there alternative explanations or perspectives I'm not seeing? Who benefits if I believe this message? For instance, when you're considering a major purchase, maybe a new car, a computer, or even choosing between job offers, don't just rely on slick marketing materials or cherry-picked user reviews. Apply clear thinking to research the product or opportunity thoroughly. Compare genuine alternatives fairly. Consider long-term costs and benefits, not just the sticker price or starting salary. What are the hidden costs? What am I giving up by choosing this option? Similarly, when evaluating political claims or policy proposals, look beyond the emotional rhetoric to examine the underlying evidence, potential unintended consequences, and whether the proposed solution actually addresses the real problem. In your daily decision-making, from small choices to major life decisions, clear thinking helps you make more intentional, informed choices. Whether you're choosing a career path, deciding where to live, planning how to spend your weekend, or even just organizing your day, systematic thinking makes a real difference. Consider your options thoughtfully. Evaluate potential outcomes honestly. Be aware of your own biases and how they might be influencing you in ways you don't realize. Here's a practical example. When planning your day, don't just react to whatever feels most urgent in the moment or tackle your to-do list randomly. Think critically about your actual priorities. What tasks will have the biggest positive impact on your long-term goals? What deserves your best mental energy? How can you allocate your limited time and energy most effectively? What can you delegate, delay, or simply not do at all? By applying clear thinking to even these everyday decisions, you gradually steer your life in a more intentional direction, aligned with what genuinely matters to you. Now, let me be really clear about something. Applying clear thinking in everyday life doesn't mean overthinking every minor decision or becoming paralyzed by analysis. That would be exhausting and counterproductive. It's about developing a flexible habit of thoughtful reflection and systematic thinking that you can apply appropriately as now situations warrant. Some decisions genuinely deserve deep analysis. Others are better made quickly with good enough information. Part of thinking clearly is knowing which is which. Start small if this feels overwhelming. Maybe commit to critically analyzing just one news article each day, really dissecting its claims, evidence, and potential biases. Or apply structured problem-solving to one workplace challenge each week. Or take 10 minutes each evening to reflect thoughtfully on one decision you made that day and whether you'd approach it differently with more clear thinking. These small practices build the mental muscles that make clear thinking increasingly natural and automatic. As you practice applying clear thinking to everyday scenarios, you'll inevitably encounter ethical dilemmas and complex moral questions. These situations often don't have clear-cut, obvious answers where one choice is purely right and all others purely wrong. But clear thinking can help you navigate them with greater clarity and confidence, staying true to your values even in ambiguous situations. Here's something important to understand. Real-life ethical dilemmas are rarely as simple as the hypothetical scenarios in philosophy textbooks. They're messy, emotionally charged, and involve competing values that all seem important. Maybe you're facing a situation at work where being completely honest could hurt someone's feelings or jeopardize their job. Or you're torn between a career opportunity that would benefit you financially, but require moving away from aging parents who need you. Or you have information that, if shared, could prevent harm, but would violate someone's trust. These are genuinely hard. When facing ethical complexity, start by clearly identifying what values or principles are in tension. What matters most to you? What are the potential consequences of each possible action, not just for you, but for everyone affected? Are there creative solutions you haven't considered that might honor multiple values instead of forcing you to sacrifice one completely? Who else might offer wisdom or perspective? And perhaps most importantly, can you live with this decision? Can you explain your reasoning to others and yourself? Remember that applying clear thinking to ethics doesn't mean finding perfect answers that resolve all tension. Sometimes it means making the best decision you can with the information available, accepting that it's genuinely difficult, and being willing to take responsibility for the choice and its consequences. One final thought about applying clear thinking in everyday life. Be patient and compassionate with yourself. You won't always think clearly. Sometimes you'll realize later that you jumped to conclusions, let biases cloud your judgment, or reacted emotionally when you wish you'd paused to think. That's completely human and normal. What matters is noticing when it happens, learning from it, and gradually improving over time. Every moment is a fresh opportunity to choose clearer thinking. As we conclude this chapter, you should feel more equipped to apply clear thinking skills across the diverse scenarios of daily life, from personal relationships to professional challenges, from consumer decisions to ethical dilemmas. These aren't abstract academic exercises. They're practical tools that make real, tangible differences in the quality of your life and relationships. But as important as all these specific skills are, problem solving, decision making, communication, ethical reasoning, they all rest on a foundation we haven't fully explored yet. To truly integrate clear thinking into your life, we need to talk about the ethical considerations that should guide how you use these powerful tools. In the next chapter, we're delving into the fascinating intersection of clear thinking and ethical reasoning. We'll explore how to navigate moral dilemmas with both clarity and integrity, ensuring that as you become a more effective thinker, you also become a more ethical person. Let's continue this important journey. Chapter 12. Thinking clearly about right and wrong. Picture yourself standing before an enormous, intricate tapestry woven from countless threads of different colors, textures, and materials. This tapestry represents the complex fabric of ethical considerations that underpin every decision and action in human life. As someone committed to clear thinking, your task isn't just to admire this tapestry from a distance. Your task is to understand its intricate patterns, to see how each individual thread connects to others, and to weave your own decisions thoughtfully into this larger ethical framework. In this chapter, we're exploring how clear thinking intersects with ethical reasoning, giving you tools to navigate genuine moral dilemmas with both clarity and integrity. At its core, ethical reasoning is fundamentally about determining what is right, good, or just in a given situation. It's a process that goes deeper than personal preferences, cultural norms, or legal requirements to engage with fundamental questions of morality and human flourishing. Clear thinking is absolutely essential in this process because it helps us analyze complex situations carefully, consider multiple perspectives fairly, and arrive at well-reasoned ethical judgments rather than just gut reactions or inherited prejudices. One of the very first steps in ethical reasoning, and one that's surprisingly easy to skip, is recognizing when you're facing an ethical issue in the first place. This requires what philosophers call moral sensitivity, the ability to see the ethical dimensions of a situation that might initially seem purely practical or strategic. Clear thinking enhances this sensitivity by encouraging you to look beyond surface-level details and consider the broader implications of your actions. Who will be affected? How? What values are at stake? What kind of precedent am I setting? For example, consider a scenario where you're offered a job with an impressive salary and excellent benefits, but the company's core business practices cause environmental harm or exploit vulnerable workers. On the surface, this might seem like a straightforward career decision: good pay, advancement opportunity, professional development. But clear thinking prompts you to consider the ethical dimensions. What are the actual environmental or social impacts? How does accepting this position align with your personal values about environmental stewardship or social justice? What are the broader consequences of supporting such practices with your talent and labor? Are there alternatives you haven't fully explored? Once you've identified that you're facing a genuine ethical issue, the next step is analyzing it systematically and thoughtfully. This is where various ethical frameworks become genuinely helpful. These frameworks provide different lenses through which to view moral questions, each highlighting different considerations. Utilitarian thinking, for instance, focuses on maximizing overall happiness, well-being, or good outcomes for the greatest number of people. From this perspective, the right action is the one that produces the best overall consequences. Deontological ethics, on the other hand, emphasizes adherence to moral rules, duties, or principles regardless of consequences. Some things are simply right or wrong in themselves. Virtue ethics concentrates on cultivating good character and moral virtues like honesty, courage, compassion, and wisdom. Care ethics prioritizes maintaining caring relationships and responding sensitively to the needs of others, particularly those who are vulnerable. Clear thinking helps you apply these frameworks effectively, analyzing how each perspective might approach the issue you're facing. It also helps you recognize that each framework has genuine strengths and limitations. No single framework perfectly captures the full complexity of every ethical situation. Sometimes, different frameworks point in the same direction, giving you confidence. Other times, they conflict, requiring you to carefully weigh competing considerations. As you engage in ethical reasoning, be aware of common pitfalls that can derail clear thinking. One is moral relativism taken to an extreme. The belief that all moral views are equally valid simply because people hold them. While it's absolutely important to respect diverse perspectives and recognize cultural differences, clear thinking can help you evaluate the actual reasoning behind different moral claims rather than treating all positions as equally well supported, regardless of evidence or logic. Another challenge you'll face is balancing competing ethical considerations when they genuinely conflict. Many real-world situations involve tensions between different moral principles. Situations where you can't fully honor all your values simultaneously. For instance, a doctor might face a conflict between respecting a patient's autonomy to refuse treatment and their professional duty to preserve life and prevent harm. Clear thinking helps you analyze these conflicts carefully, weigh different factors thoughtfully, consider the specific context, and arrive at a reasoned decision you can stand behind, even when it's genuinely difficult. Personal integrity is absolutely crucial in ethical reasoning. This means aligning your actions with your ethical beliefs and being genuinely accountable for your decisions. It means not conveniently changing your principles to justify what you wanted to do anyway. Clear thinking plays a vital role here, helping you examine your own motivations. Honestly, challenge your own rationalizations and self-justifications, and ensure real consistency between what you profess to believe and how you actually behave. Let me share something about moral courage, because it's deeply connected to ethical reasoning and clear thinking. Often, the hardest part of ethics isn't figuring out what's right. It's actually having the courage to do it when there are real costs involved. Maybe doing the right thing means admitting a mistake that reflects poorly on you. Maybe it means speaking up when everyone else is silent. Maybe it means accepting a financial loss or professional setback. Clear thinking helps clarify what ethics requires, but moral courage is what enables you to follow through. As you develop your ethical reasoning skills, you'll definitely encounter situations where there's genuinely no clear right answer. Situations philosophers call moral dilemmas. In these cases, any choice you make involves real costs or compromises. The goal of clear thinking here isn't to find some perfect solution that resolves all tension. Rather, it's to arrive at a well-reasoned decision that you can justify to yourself and others, that you've thought through as carefully as possible, and that you're prepared to stand behind and take responsibility for. Here's something that often gets overlooked. Ethical reasoning isn't just about dramatic dilemmas or major life decisions. It's also deeply relevant to the small, everyday decisions that gradually shape your character and impact the people around you. How do you treat service workers when you're having a bad day? How do you respond when a cashier accidentally undercharges you? What do you do when you witness casual discrimination or unkindness? How do you balance your personal goals with your responsibilities to others and to society? By applying clear thinking to these everyday ethical considerations, you cultivate a more intentional and principled approach to life. I also want to emphasize the relationship between ethics and relationships. Many of our most challenging ethical dilemmas arise in the context of relationships with family, friends, colleagues, romantic partners. Ethics isn't just about abstract principles. It's about how we treat real people in real situations. Clear thinking helps you navigate the complexity of relational ethics, honoring your commitments while also taking care of yourself, being honest while also being kind, setting healthy boundaries while remaining connected. As we close this chapter, you should have a deeper understanding of how clear thinking enhances ethical reasoning in profound ways. You recognize the importance of moral sensitivity, systematic analysis using various ethical frameworks, personal integrity, and moral courage in navigating ethical dilemmas, both large and small. But here's the beautiful truth. Mastering clear thinking and ethical reasoning isn't a destination you arrive at and then you're done. It's an ongoing journey of growth and learning that continues throughout your entire life. Your thinking can always become clearer. Your ethical reasoning can always become more sophisticated and nuanced. In the next chapter, we're exploring strategies for lifelong learning and continuous improvement. I'm going to equip you with tools to keep refining your clear thinking skills throughout your life, staying curious and growing, never becoming stagnant. This is where everything comes together. Let's keep going. We're almost there. Chapter 13. Committing to a lifetime of growth. Imagine yourself as a gardener tending a magnificent garden. The garden represents your mind, and the various plants represent your skills, knowledge, and wisdom. Some plants you've been cultivating for years, and they're flourishing beautifully. Others you've just planted, still tender and developing. And there's always space for new seeds, new growth, new possibilities. The tools in your hands represent clear thinking and lifelong learning. With each day you spend in this garden, watering, pruning, planting, tending, it becomes richer and more vibrant. This ongoing process of cultivating and nurturing your mind is the essence of lifelong learning and continuous improvement. Here's a fundamental truth. The journey of clear thinking doesn't end with the final page of this book, or the completion of any course or program. In fact, those are really just beginnings. True mastery comes from consistent practice, ongoing curiosity, and a genuine commitment to growth that extends across your entire life. In this chapter, we're exploring practical strategies to cultivate a lifelong learning mindset and continuously sharpen your clear thinking skills year after year. At the absolute heart of lifelong learning is intellectual curiosity, an almost childlike desire to understand the world around you, to ask why, and how, and what if. Cultivate this curiosity intentionally by asking questions, constantly exploring new subjects that intrigue you, and actively challenging what you think you already know. Make it a habit to regularly delve into topics completely outside your comfort zone or usual areas of expertise. If you're immersed in technology, read philosophy or poetry. If you're an artist, explore economics or biology. This cross-pollination of ideas from different domains can lead to innovative insights you'd never reach by staying in your lane, and it keeps your thinking flexible and fresh. Develop a personal learning practice that genuinely works for you and your life. This might involve setting aside dedicated time each day for reading, reflection, or skill-building exercises. Some people love early morning study sessions. Others do their best learning late at night. Some learn best through reading, others through podcasts or videos, others through hands-on practice. Experiment with different learning methods and schedules until you find what resonates with your particular learning style and life circumstances. The key isn't following some ideal template. It's finding what actually works for you and then doing it consistently. Remember, the goal isn't just passively accumulating information like collecting stamps. It's about actively engaging with new ideas, questioning them, testing them against your experience, and genuinely integrating them into your thinking and worldview. It's the difference between being a collector and being a practitioner. One particularly powerful technique for continuous improvement is something called deliberate practice. This involves consistently pushing yourself just slightly beyond your current abilities, receiving honest feedback on your performance, and refining your skills based on that feedback. It's not just repetition. It's focused, intentional effort targeting specific areas where you want to improve. In the context of clear thinking, this might mean deliberately tackling increasingly complex problems that stretch your analytical abilities, actively seeking out challenging debates or discussions that force you to defend and refine your reasoning, or regularly asking trusted people to critique your thinking and point out blind spots. Create what I call a personal clear thinking practice, a regular routine that keeps these skills sharp. This could involve setting aside time each week to carefully analyze news articles, dissecting the arguments in books or podcasts you consume, or journaling thoughtfully about complex issues you encounter in your life or work. The specific activities matter less than the consistency. Make clear thinking a daily habit, woven into the fabric of your life, and you'll see your skills steadily improve over time. Here's something absolutely crucial. Embrace failure and mistakes as genuine learning opportunities rather than sources of shame. When you make an error in your reasoning or arrive at a flawed conclusion, and you absolutely will repeatedly, don't beat yourself up or pretend it didn't happen. Instead, get curious about it. Analyze what went wrong with genuine interest. What assumptions did you make without realizing it? What information did you overlook or discount? What biases influenced your thinking? By treating each mistake as a valuable lesson rather than a personal failure, you transform setbacks into stepping stones for real growth. Building a network of fellow learners and clear thinkers can profoundly accelerate your development. Actively seek out and engage in meaningful discussions with others who are also committed to thinking clearly and growing continuously. Join book clubs, discussion groups, or debate societies. Find a mentor who can challenge your thinking and offer wisdom from their own journey. Become a mentor yourself to others earlier in their path. Teaching often deepens your own understanding. Surrounding yourself with curious, thoughtful people naturally inspires you to keep growing and provides invaluable perspectives that enhance your own thinking. As you continue your journey of lifelong learning, you'll inevitably encounter obstacles and challenges. You might face time constraints. Life gets busy, and finding time for learning feels impossible. You might experience information overload. There's so much to learn, and it's overwhelming. You might go through periods of low motivation where you just can't seem to care about growth. When these challenges arise, and they will, probably multiple times, reconnect with why you started this journey in the first place. What sparked your curiosity initially? What do you hope to achieve through clearer thinking? Sometimes, simply taking a step back to reflect on your progress and remember your deeper motivations can reignite your passion for learning. Let me share something about learning goals. While it's valuable to set specific learning objectives, maybe you want to read a certain number of books, master a particular skill, or understand a complex topic. Don't become so fixated on those goals that learning becomes a joyless checklist. The ultimate aim is cultivating genuine wisdom and understanding, not accumulating credentials or checking boxes. Stay connected to the intrinsic joy of discovery, the satisfaction of suddenly understanding something that puzzled you, the pleasure of a good conversation that challenges your thinking. Also, recognize that learning and growth aren't always linear or steady. Sometimes you'll experience rapid progress and breakthrough insights. Other times you'll feel stuck on a plateau where improvement seems impossible. Both are completely normal parts of the journey. During plateau periods, trust that growth is still happening beneath the surface, even when you can't see it immediately. Keep practicing, stay curious, and the breakthrough will come. One more insight about lifelong learning. Be willing to unlearn as well as learn. Sometimes growth requires letting go of ideas, beliefs, or approaches that no longer serve you, that you've outgrown, or that you've come to recognize as flawed. This can be harder than learning something new because it involves admitting you were wrong about something, perhaps for a long time. But this willingness to unlearn, to say, I used to think X, but now I understand Y, is actually a mark of real intellectual maturity and growth. Ultimately, the goal of lifelong learning and continuous improvement isn't to reach some fixed endpoint where you've achieved perfect, clear thinking and you're done. That destination doesn't exist. Instead, it's about embracing the journey itself, finding genuine joy in the ongoing process of discovery and growth, and staying intellectually alive and engaged throughout your entire life. As you cultivate this mindset, you'll find that your capacity for clear thinking naturally expands, opening up possibilities in every area of your life that you couldn't have imagined when you started. As we close this chapter, you should have a clear, practical understanding of how to make clear thinking and learning a genuine, lifelong practice. You recognize the importance of intellectual curiosity, deliberate practice, embracing the stakes as learning opportunities, and continuous reflection in honing your skills over decades, not just months. But as we near the end of our journey together in this book, it's time to look forward and consider how you'll apply everything you've learned in the ever-changing landscape ahead. In our final chapter, we'll explore the challenges and opportunities that lie on your horizon and how the skills you've developed will serve as your most reliable compass in navigating an uncertain future. Let's bring this all together. Chapter 14. Your Path Forward. Navigating Tomorrow with Wisdom. As we arrive at the threshold of your future, imagine yourself standing on the shore of a vast, shimmering ocean. The waters ahead stretch endlessly toward horizons you can barely see. The ocean represents the future, filled with both promise and uncertainty, opportunities and challenges, calm waters and inevitable storms. The compass in your hand, carefully calibrated throughout this entire journey, represents the clear thinking skills you've been developing. In this final chapter, we're going to recap the essential concepts we've explored together, discuss how to genuinely integrate clear thinking into the fabric of your daily life, and look ahead with clear eyes at both the challenges and opportunities awaiting you. Most importantly, we'll explore how these skills you've been cultivating will serve as your most valuable asset in navigating whatever uncertain future lies ahead. Let's begin by revisiting the core principles and skills we've covered throughout this journey together. First, understanding and honestly challenging your own thought patterns and cognitive biases. You've learned that self-awareness is the foundation of everything. You can't think clearly about the world until you understand how your own mind works, where it's reliable, and where it tends to lead you astray. Second, analyzing information and arguments with genuine precision and clarity. You've developed the ability to break down complex arguments into their component parts, evaluate evidence critically, recognize logical fallacies, and separate sound reasoning from persuasive-sounding nonsense. Third, problem solving using structured yet creative approaches. You've learned to define problems clearly, gather relevant information systematically, generate innovative solutions, evaluate them objectively, and implement them with flexibility. Fourth, making decisions with real confidence, even when facing significant uncertainty. You understand how to balance logic and intuition, avoid common decision-making pitfalls, and manage the inevitable uncertainty that comes with any meaningful choice. Fifth, building mental resilience to adapt gracefully to life's challenges. You've discovered how emotional intelligence, a growth mindset, and active coping strategies help you bend without breaking when storms come. Sixth, communicating effectively and engaging in genuinely constructive dialogue. You've learned the arts of active listening, clear expression, and creating conversations that build understanding rather than walls. Seventh, applying ethical reasoning to navigate complex moral dilemmas. You understand how to identify ethical dimensions of situations, analyze them using various frameworks, and make principled decisions you can stand behind. Eighth, embracing lifelong learning and continuous improvement. You've committed to staying intellectually curious, practicing deliberately, and growing throughout your entire life, rather than treating learning as something that ends after formal education. These skills form a powerful, integrated toolkit that you can genuinely apply to virtually any situation you encounter. But remember, and this is absolutely crucial, clear thinking isn't just a collection of separate techniques you pull out when needed. It's fundamentally a mindset, a comprehensive way of approaching the world with curiosity, intellectual rigor, and genuine open-mindedness. As you move forward from here, focus intentionally on integrating clear thinking into your daily life so deeply that it becomes second nature. Start each day by consciously questioning your automatic assumptions and challenging yourself to see familiar things from fresh perspectives. Approach problems at work or in your personal life with the structured thinking techniques you've learned, rather than just reacting emotionally or falling back on habitual responses. Practice active listening and clear communication consistently in your interactions with others, not just in formal settings, but in casual conversations too. When faced with difficult decisions, take the genuine time to analyze your options thoroughly and consider the ethical implications of your choices, not just the practical consequences. Looking toward the future, your future, our collective future, it's abundantly clear that clear thinking skills will be more valuable than ever before. We're living in an age of artificial intelligence, rapid automation, and job markets changing faster than ever. In this environment, the ability to think critically, solve complex problems creatively, and adapt flexibly to new situations will be absolutely essential. Technical skills that seem valuable today might become obsolete tomorrow, but the ability to learn, think clearly, and solve novel problems will always be relevant. Your capacity for nuanced ethical reasoning will become increasingly crucial as we collectively grapple with the profound moral implications of emerging technologies, artificial intelligence making life and death decisions, genetic engineering reshaping human capabilities, surveillance technologies monitoring our every move, social media platforms shaping our perceptions and relationships in ways we barely understand. These aren't distant science fiction scenarios. They're current realities, requiring wise, thoughtful responses. Moreover, in a world increasingly awash with information and misinformation flowing from countless sources, your ability to analyze claims carefully, evaluate evidence critically, and draw sound conclusions will be your shield against manipulation and your key to making genuinely informed decisions. As misinformation becomes more sophisticated, think deep fakes, AI-generated content, and algorithmically targeted propaganda. The ability to think clearly about what's true becomes not just valuable, but essential for functioning in society. As societies everywhere grapple with complex, interconnected global challenges, climate change threatening ecosystems and communities, growing inequality straining social fabric, rapid technological disruption reshaping work and life, polarization fracturing our ability to solve problems together. Clear thinkers like you will be absolutely essential in finding innovative solutions and navigating the difficult trade-offs these challenges involve. The world desperately needs people who can think beyond tribal loyalties, analyze problems systematically, consider multiple perspectives fairly, and work toward solutions that actually address root causes rather than just symptoms. But perhaps the most personally meaningful aspect of your journey in clear thinking is the profound personal growth and fulfillment it offers. As you continue honing these skills throughout your life, you'll find yourself becoming genuinely more confident in your decisions, more resilient when facing challenges, and more capable of achieving goals that matter deeply to you. You'll develop a richer, more nuanced understanding of yourself and the incredibly complex world around you. This understanding opens up possibilities for personal and professional growth that simply weren't visible before you learned to see more clearly. I want to speak directly to you for a moment about something important. The journey of clear thinking is genuinely never complete. There will always be new challenges to tackle, new ideas to explore, new skills to develop, deeper levels of understanding to reach. And that's not a bug, it's a feature. It means you never have to stop growing, never have to settle for where you are, never have to stop being curious about the world. Embrace this ongoing process of growth and discovery. Let your curiosity be your constant guide, and let your clear thinking skills be your reliable tools for exploring the vast landscape of knowledge and experience that stretches endlessly before you. Remember, too, that personal growth isn't just about accumulating skills or knowledge for its own sake. It's about becoming more fully yourself, more authentic, more capable, more connected to what genuinely matters to you, more able to contribute meaningfully to the lives of others and to the world. Clear thinking helps you cut through the noise and confusion to see what's actually important, what's truly worth your limited time and energy and attention in this brief, precious life. As we near the end of our time together, I want to emphasize something that might seem paradoxical. While I've spent this entire book teaching you to think more clearly and systematically, don't let that make you lose touch with other valuable ways of knowing and experiencing the world. Clear thinking is immensely powerful and useful, but it's not the only thing that matters. Intuition, emotion, aesthetic experience, spiritual insight, bodily wisdom, these all have their place too. The goal isn't to replace these with pure logic, but to integrate clear thinking with them, letting each inform the others. Let me share a final thought about the responsibility that comes with developing these skills. Clear thinking is genuinely a powerful tool. Like any powerful tool, it can be used for good or ill, to build up or tear down, to enlighten or manipulate. You have a choice, always, about how you use these capabilities. You can use clear thinking skills to manipulate others, to win arguments dishonestly, to justify your own biases more cleverly. Or you can use them in service of truth, understanding, and genuine flourishing, yours and others. I genuinely hope and trust you'll choose the latter path. The skills you've developed aren't just tools for personal success, as valuable as that is. They're also a powerful force for positive change in the world. By thinking clearly, communicating effectively, and reasoning ethically, you have real power to influence others constructively, shape important discussions, contribute meaningfully to solving pressing challenges of our time, and help create a world that's more rational, more just, more compassionate. That might sound grandiose, but it's simply true. Every conversation you have with clearer thinking, every decision you make more wisely, every problem you solve more effectively, these ripple outward in ways you often can't see, but that genuinely matter. So as you close this book and step out into your life, I want to leave you with a question and a challenge. The question is this: what will you do with what you've learned? How will you actually apply these insights and skills in the real, messy, complicated life you're living? Don't let this just be interesting ideas you read once. Make them living practices that shape how you think and act every single day. And here's the challenge. Commit to being a force for clearer thinking in the world. When you encounter sloppy reasoning, gently point it out. When you see people talking past each other, help bridge the understanding. When you witness groupthink shutting down important dissent, speak up thoughtfully. When you find yourself falling into old patterns of unclear thinking, and you will, notice it, learn from it, and recommit to doing better. Be patient with yourself and with others, but don't settle for confusion and poor thinking when clarity is possible. Remember always that you are now equipped with one of humanity's most powerful and essential capabilities: the ability to think clearly, carefully, and creatively about whatever you encounter. This is a gift and a responsibility. Use it wisely. Use it often. Use it with courage and compassion. Use it to build a life that genuinely reflects your deepest values and highest aspirations. Use it to contribute to making this world a bit more rational, a bit more just, a bit more understanding than you found it. The future ahead is genuinely unwritten, full of possibilities, both wonderful and concerning. You don't have control over many of the challenges you'll face or opportunities you'll encounter. But you do have control over how you respond, how you think about them, how you analyze them, how you decide what to do. With your clear thinking skills as your compass and your commitment to growth as your map, you have what you need to navigate whatever comes with wisdom, resilience, and grace. Thank you for taking this journey with me through these pages. Thank you for your commitment to developing your mind and growing as a person. Thank you for being willing to question your assumptions, challenge your biases, and push beyond your mental comfort zones. That takes real courage, and I genuinely admire it. Now go forth into your life. Think clearly. Act wisely. Learn continuously. Never stop asking questions. Never stop growing. Stay curious about this endlessly fascinating world and your place in it. The future belongs to clear thinkers like you who are willing to engage deeply with complexity, embrace uncertainty with confidence, and keep learning and adapting throughout your entire life. The world is genuinely waiting for thinkers like you to help lead the way into a future that's more thoughtful, more reasoned, more enlightened than our past. You're ready. You've got this. Your journey of clear thinking has truly just begun, and I can't wait to see where it takes you. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to MindShift Academy and stay connected with our community of lifelong learners committed to personal growth and clear thinking. We'll continue supporting your journey with insights, tools, and encouragement for the road ahead. Now close this book, take a deep breath, and step confidently into your future. Think clearly, live fully, never stop growing.